Makeup, it's been around for a long time, and people think it's spanned at least 60,000 years, while some also say it's gone way back to 100,000 years ago. But why do we use makeup? Why can't we just let people walk around and look beautiful naturally? Well, let's discover some interesting facts together about makeup, and perhaps maybe we can come up with that very answer. Hi guys, my name is Dave Wapple, this is FTD Facts, and today we're talking about the stuff that's been put on your face and body. That's right, makeup. Now before I get into this video, I want to know, what is the most attractive hair color that you like? Let me know down there in the comments below. The first record of makeup dates back to the first dynasty of the Egyptians. Unguent was a substance that women used back in the day to keep their skin hydrated. Because let's be honest, you're in the desert, you don't want to get wrinkles. Speaking of the Egyptians, let's talk about Cleopatra. Did you know that Cleopatra once doused her ship sails in perfume so people could smell her coming? At one point, she attempted to get Mark Antony to come on board her ship, and the only way she could do that was to use the smell of her sails to gather a crowd. But moving right along history, it wasn't until about 3000 BCE that the Chinese began to stain their nails. They used stuff like gelatin with beeswax and egg whites. And the colors of your nails represented your social status. During the Zhou dynasty, if you were royalty, you wore gold or silver or black and red. And the lower classes, they were forbidden from having bright colors. Now let's talk about eyeliner. There's a black powder called kohl, which is spelled K-O-H-L. And it was used in the Arabic, Middle East, and even the Egyptian times. And this was a powder that was used to darken the edges of your eyelids. Now that's not the only thing. Let's talk about teeth whitening. It's sort of a makeup. Back in the 1st century, Romans used pumice to whiten their very teeth. Now today we use makeup every single day, but a lot of our makeup and even historical makeup is based off of theater. In the Greek and Roman theater, there was no such makeup. Actors wore masks to portray characters. But it wasn't until Thespis, who is considered to be the first actor to use makeup, he used white lead and wine on his face to make himself look paler. Speaking of Romans, women used to use a substance called belladonna drops. Although we don't think of eye drops as makeup, well, this made their pupils look a lot larger. However, that wasn't practiced for very long because, well, belladonna is a poison. Fact! If we were to fast forward to the 1900s, women, believe it or not, didn't really wear makeup. But if we look at women from that time, they look, well, very pale. And no, that's not because of artists' representation. Women from that era used face enameling. And women chose to have a pale look because it represented how rich you were. The more rich you were meant the more you could sit on the couch and not do outdoor labor. However, when people enameled their face, they were using a thing called arsenic. And yeah, that wasn't good for us. But by 1910, makeup became famous once again in the United States. And this is because of the heavy influence of ballet. Even in Paris, it was because of the Russian ballet that they started using makeup as well. The first nail polish patent was granted in 1919. And it wasn't red, it was just a faint pink. Speaking of nail polish, did you know that neon nail polish is actually banned and is illegal in the United States? This is because neon colorants haven't been approved by the FDA. So if you got some, it's not actually neon colorant. Now here's an odd one. Okay, deodorant may not really be a makeup. But when I was doing research, I was curious to find out when the first deodorant came into commercialization. Now it wasn't until 1888 that Mom developed the first commercial deodorant. But the man who invented it, well, we don't know his name because it's been lost with history. But we do know he was from Pennsylvania. For an average female, they rough out that they spend $15,000 their entire life on cosmetics. But let's talk about hair dye. I consider that a makeup. Eugene Schuler was the first founder of L'Oreal, and he invented the modern synthetic hair dye back in 1907. Oddly enough, he was the same guy that created sunscreen in 1936. As we go into the 40s, cosmetics were in short supply. The reason for this, World War II needed all the alcohol and petroleum which cosmetics were based on. done. But near the end of the war, the cosmetic companies were like, man, we have really got to stock up, because when the war ends, girls are going to buy makeup like that. Gala Cosmetics was one of the first companies to use fancy names for lipstick. That's where you get names like Sequoia or Lantern Red. Also, 80% of the self-use makeup that you buy has not been approved by the FDA. This is because companies in the United States are deemed legally responsible for the products they sell. In Europe, there is 1,373 banned chemicals, while in the United States, there's only 8 for cosmetics. And the average woman puts on about 13 products a day, which means about 515 different chemicals are getting thrown on your face. Did you know that tanning started all by accident? This is because Coco Chanel accidentally got burned when she was in France. But when she returned from the French Riviera, girls were like, oh my gosh, that is an amazing look. It's funny how one person can change everything. Because right before that, you had to be pale to be considered, well, rich. Let's actually talk about Coco Chanel. Did you know that people think she might have been a Nazi or a Nazi spy? There is heavy evidence against her and people like Hugo Boss that she was a Nazi supporter. She was giving an Abwehr agent number, which was F7124. By the way, Abwehr was the German intelligence until 1945. She worked heavy with General Walter Schellenberg, who was chief of the SS intelligence for World War II. At the end of the war, she paid for his hospital bills and even took care of his family. So maybe she was an SS after all. And last but not least, you guys know the term beauty is painful? Because women in that era used things like leeches to make their skin go pale. And also at that time, women used a mascara, which the element could make you go blind. And in the 15th century, women used a white lead called Venetian Cruez. This lead caused hair loss and death in some cases. So which one of those was the most shocking fact to you guys? Let us know down there in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys. My name is Dave Wapple and this is FTD Facts. Be sure to check out all of our other videos if this is your first time here. Hit that subscribe and like button and do all that typical sharing YouTube jazz. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Later!